Rapport is known for playing unorthodox chess, a bit of a gamble. In this game, well, this one was just pure craziness. And what was going on there, right from the start? They played the King's Indian. F3. Yeah, you can play knight F3, knight C3, but F3 straight up. Here you can play something like E5. I remember when I used to play the Grunfeld that this kind of move exists, D takes E5, knight H5. I played it a few times, but it's kind of offbeat, more for surprise value, you know, for example. Alright, I'll show that in a moment. Yeah, the point is, when I play knight H5, I want to play queen H4 here, right? If they make some careless move, then this check comes, and after G3 I can take and grab the rook, you know. That's just one of the possibilities that exist there. But Rapport just played it by the book. He simply played bishop to G7, and the position transitioned into a Sicilian dragon. What was surprising here is that the Indians have now started playing this knight to E2 move. And actually, the idea is that they're aiming for a long castle, you know. So they play bishop to E3. Objectively, the long castle, I don't know about it. I mean, with the pawns set up like this, especially that C4 pawn, the king is a bit more exposed there. But you'll see later how he really got beaten up, you know, but they're diving right in. They're not afraid of it. So once again, they found something new in the dragon. Back in the day, people just played it simply, you know, like bishop to D3, knight to E2, or bishop to E2, knight to F3, right? There are more options now, so queen to D2, and black is already set up, right, has castled, has that janitor on G7 aimed over there. Now here, white, what now? White's position is a bit cramped, archer E1 and knight E2. Yeah, so B5 is a move that fits well here. And now they're going after each other. This one is starting up over here. But like I said, this bishop here, it has value, it's a real piece, you know. It has the value of a queen, like in these kinds of positions, right? So he blocked it correctly. After all, you really don't want to let them push something like G4 or H5 on you. He blocked it, but they played this pretty quickly. Yeah, so this is some kind of line. They both had it prepared. I saw knight to B6, and here the computer puts a question mark next to the rook. It doesn't like it, says the best move is to take on C4. I saw some game there. I think it was Abduzadorov playing against Arvind, and he just completely crushed him there. Arvind didn't expect that. He lost in about 20 moves. And now something similar has actually happened here. Here, it's hard to say what he should have played. CB6 probably isn't the best. He probably should have played it like this. Oh, okay, so it's some kind of theory. It seems like a shame to give up that bishop, but on the other hand, what else can you do? You're facing a nasty jump here, a fork on C4. You probably have to take it. Well, it was played quickly. Here the computer shows an advantage of 1, but these endgames are really tricky. It's like, this can turn around in just 3 moves. It could be -3, you know. So he took on B5, opened up the A file. Here, if I were black, I'd be really happy. Like, I'd be genuinely satisfied here. And the game goes on. Praggnanandhaa kept playing quickly the whole time. Knight to D5, that's the first big move. Like, wow, seriously, wow. You know what I mean? The point is, if he takes with the queen, then bishop to E6 comes in. That's the move that just wrecks everything here, like in some line like this. King to C2, I don't know, maybe now queen to C8 would be the best. Yeah, queen to C8, right. Queen to C8 looks like a killer move, honestly. If you go king to D2, if you go to D8 you lose your queen. If you try something like knight to C7, then rook to A7, you take with the knight, and that king is completely exposed. That's just game over. Now you can see why the pair of bishops is better, you know, especially in an open position like this. This is a complete demolition. So she would have to imagine the queen. And now I don't know if queen E6 will work. Maybe that's enough and she just needs to get to the endgame. But queen E6. Queen E6 is probably the best. Yeah. Queen E6 was played, so the knight is hanging. There's a threat of rook to C8, and the queen could be lost. So he had to take the piece with the pawn, and they just kept playing on cheerfully, like he ate up 26 at the start, 31, so basically hardly any time used. Here, I left the analysis here. I was just looking at it and thinking, wow, what now? You know? Like, he moves away, and now I want to take on b4, kind of bunker down here, and I have an extra piece. Again, black doesn't really have that many attacking pieces, right? A knight would come in handy, like maybe knight to c5, knight to b3, that would be some kind of mate, but still, rook f4 is cheerful, and the computer says it's roughly dynamically equal, so they had it prepared differently. Knight to e1, queen to d7. Right, yeah, the knight here is kind of trapped. On b5 it can't get back to c3 or d4, and he wants to bring the rook into the attack, so it's a logical move. So he brought it in, and they brought it in through c8 like this, with tempo, and here Praggnanandhaa made a mistake. He tried bishop to e4, another lift. Yeah, these are just brutal. These are exactly the kinds of positions Rapport likes, you know. I know Richie a little bit. You know, we haven't really seen each other lately, of course, but we used to talk a lot, played some training blitz games together, and actually, he's dinged second, or at least he was at the last World Championship match. And these are just the kinds of positions where he's maybe top 3 in the world, honestly. Even Carlsen can't match him in these positions, in my opinion. So e4 is where, for the first time, Praggnanandhaa made a mistake. And now came pawn takes on b3. Rook AP is logical, right? I bring in the knight, he covers it now, and then comes another lift, like with the bishop, you know. If he played something like knight d4, then probably nothing much would happen. I'm not sure if I'd go for rook takes c1, you know. I'd sacrifice the exchange, and here you can see the bishop, the gatekeeper. Yeah, that's just a boss. That's a real piece. Now consider that he only has a white man, so he can't exchange him for a shooter. He could give up his queen or a rook for it, but of course he doesn't want to do that, you know. I could just put my bishop on f6 or e5. Yeah, I'm blocking everything there. That's a total giant. Like, that's the kind of piece you put on that diagonal for a reason. Having that, it's just a dream. So here, black would be really happy, right? Yeah, so he covered it. That's why he covered it back. But then came another move, again a lift like bishop to c2. That's just the gong. Now the rook is hanging. Your b3 is hanging here. Everything's under threat. I don't even know how many threats there are anymore, but b3 is probably the deadliest one. He didn't take it. If he had taken it, then queen takes b5 would follow. Let's say he takes it. Now I take on c2. He moves his bishop somewhere, to d3. And now this bishop decides the game. Something like this happens. I think with the next move it's mate. It's mate. Well, in 3 moves, rook to d2 is still possible. Yeah, if rook to d2, then you take it like this and deliver a discovered mate, right? So he probably missed that. Just think about it. That's bishop to c2. To lose with such a blow in the 23rd move. To lose in 23 moves at this level. You really don't see that. That kind of thing happens maybe once a year, if that. They do lose with white sometimes, but not in 20 moves. So this was an unbelievable game by Rapport. One of the best I've seen this year. This year? Maybe even in recent times, honestly. I'll just play it out to the end. The way he played it, the precision Richie played with, really. Here, rook to c5, and now you can't even take here, because if I play knight takes c6, now the bishop is hanging, then the knight is hanging here. There are just too many pieces on that c-file. So, that's how it was. And here again came the exchange sacrifice, and this was just total destruction. b5 protected the bishop. And here he wrapped it up. He finished it off with b3, though he didn't even have to. There were plenty of ways to win here. And here, well, here white just decided to resign. He just couldn't take it anymore. He's losing the pawn on b2 here, and that piece on c1 as well. It's just terrible. The position is -6. So yeah, that was the game that was played yesterday, and we'll see how it all turns out.